good stuff. Right, so I'm going to just share then. I'll share the screen here, hopefully. Deirdre, you're going to look at yourself in the recording here now at the minute. But just to say, well, what is the PEDL program, okay? So the PEDL program, I'm going to keep this just really simple now, right? So if I can just go present. So what does PEDL stand for? So PEDL stands for the Program to Enhance Digital Literacy. And the primary focus of the program is to support parents to learn digital skills. And ultimately behind that then it's to build the confidence that the parents will have confidence to support their son or daughter in using Microsoft apps. Now, this slide, this PowerPoint here has been developed for use of for schools who are using the Microsoft 365 applications. We know that some of you here are using the Google Suite for Education. So we have a parallel PowerPoint. We have one for schools who are using the Microsoft 365 apps, and we have one for schools who are using the Google Suite for Education apps as well. Okay, so how the program came about was that during this time last year when we were in school lockdowns, and when I was in the role of homeschool liaison at the time, and we would have noticed that like there was a lack of engagement from our target families with online learning. And then when we was going out to the school, to the homes, and you're chatting to the parents or guardians, and there was a couple of things that were coming up. So there was certain issues that we would have all found about the lack of access to devices. So we were able to then to provide those students who didn't have devices, we provided them with devices. And then getting the devices into the hands was one thing, but then we found the next thing was that that didn't really have a huge increase in engagement. There would have been an initial burst of engagement, but then maybe it decreased again subsequently. And when we were chatting then to the parents and we were trying to get it to work with them and say, look, is there any other issues here? The parents would have often reported, well, that their son or daughter has said, well, they're upstairs and they're telling me they're doing Teams, but I don't know what Teams is. So therefore, I haven't a clue and I don't have the confidence to support them. So working then with Trinity Access, with Laois Offaly TB and Trinity Access, we said, right, let's kind of come up with a program for targeted families where we can upskill those parents in using the apps that their son or daughter are using in school, and therefore that parent will have increased confidence in being able to support the parent and do so. And we know that parental involvement is a direct indicator of increased student engagement. So the greater involvement that parents or guardians have with their son or daughter's education, then that results in a direct increase in engagement for the student. So hence we see this is a very practical program which is designed to upskill the parents to use the technology that then they can support their children in doing so. And the ultimate aim of this is that there will be increased student engagement as a result of that. So that is what the PEDL is, and I suppose the origins of the program. Now, so let's look at it. It is a 5-week program, and again, just what I'm showing you here again is you will notice that this is the 365 version here. We do have, and maybe that was a question I should have asked at the start, but we do have an accompanying version which is for the Google apps. So 5 weeks. And important also to say that there is flexibility. There is, I'm just going to, there's someone in the lobby here, so I better let them in. So there is flexibility for you. Text. So we have planned this based on it being a 5-week program, but we know from phase 1 that some schools may have progressed a bit quicker with the content, and some may have been a bit slower in delivering the content, and that's absolutely fine. So what we provide an outline, but you have flexibility to move around some of the content from 1 week to the next if you wish to do so. So the PEDL, it's a 5-week program, and in phase 1 we had originally planned 4 weeks with 1 hour a week, but we quickly then realized that 1 hour a week wasn't enough, and that 4 weeks wasn't enough. So we've restructured it to be 5 weeks, and the recommended time for each class is between 1 hour and 15 and 1 hour and 30 minutes. Okay, so between 1 hour and 15 and 1 hour and 30. And again, that up to your own kind of context and what I suppose the availability of time and resources for yourself. So what are we looking at then? In session 1, The content that we're looking to cover is about using VSware. Again, that's very specific to your own school context, because some of you will have VSware and you will be using it quite a lot. Some of you may only be using it at a very, very base level. So, for example, some of our schools would are just using it at teachers only, and parents don't have access. So some of the schools are just where it's the teachers are taking the role, and there's no parents that don't have any access to it. Whereas then we have schools who have full parental access to the app, and in addition, the parents can send mail, or the mail function has been opened on the VSware app. So that will be very specific to your own school. So we would have found that, like, or I would have found, and talking to all the homeschools, that there's a lot of work around VSware, and sometimes you have to go out to your targeted families, and in some case stand at the door and get the phone out, download the app, put in the password, and just maybe bit of hand holding going on with VSware. So and maybe those of you in the homeschool who are new to us can kind of relate to that. So there was a real emphasis on upskilling and being able to get everyone who comes to this program that they have access to VSware and that they can use it effectively. But they need to be able to use it as is appropriate to your school. Okay. And then what we do is, and again, just for those of you who are in G Suite, so just substitute. We'll be looking at this at the Google apps. So session 1, using VSware, and then we introduce everyone to the Office apps or the G Suite apps. And then we give an introduction to Microsoft Teams, because that's the hub that everyone would use, or in the Google case, that would be an introduction to Google Classroom. So what do? We go through then at the end of this session 1, we want them to be able to know where to get to the VSware login page or the app. Okay. We need to be able to log in, navigate through the various VSware tabs as is appropriate to your school context. And then we want you to be able to access the Microsoft Teams or Google Classroom and the other various apps. So that person who comes, they know what Teams is, they know what the other apps are. So what activities do? You log into VSware, you open it. Look, everyone, I'm going to send this on to you, so I'm not going to read down through everything, but that's the general thrust of session 1. Okay. So they come into session 1 and they leave it at the end, and they know what they're able to get into VSware and to use VSware effectively, that they will then be able to log into a Microsoft account. Deirdre's going to talk to that shortly, but they're able to log into a test account that you will have set up, and that they will then be able to join a team in the Microsoft case, or if you're a Google school, that you'll be able to log into a Google Classroom. So that's all that happens in session 1. Okay, session 2 then. That will be where they will have logged into the team. They will just basically turn up at the class and on session 2, and straight away you will go into your device and you log in, sending an email. So we'll give instruction about the effective use of sending an email, and then that email will then be sent to yourself. So in the case of maybe Sean might talk to this in a minute, that what they would do is they would come in, and I have, as you will see shortly here now, we have resources that are available about this and an associated PowerPoint. And we just put up the PowerPoint and they send the email to you, the homeschool liaison or the digital leader in this case. Okay. What else they do? They access an assignment, and then it's create a folder in OneDrive. So again, this all seems very simple, but this is exactly the practical stuff that we found that people benefit from. So being able to create a folder in OneDrive or in Google Drive. So be able to log in, navigate their way through the apps to find OneDrive or Google Drive, and then create a folder. And then in addition, to be able to create a file then within the folder in OneDrive or the folder in Google Drive. Okay. So the activities are over here, and then what you will do is an assignment will be posted. So after they do the kind of send the email, an assignment will be posted then on Teams or on Google Classroom. The parent will be able to open up that assignment, view it. And what that assignment will be is about opening a folder, creating a file. You will see that when I send through the PowerPoint, but that's what happens in session 2 then. Then in session 3, we're looking at Teams, OneDrive, Word, and this is flexibility here, PowerPoint maybe, okay? So what happens then in session 3, you will have seen at the end of session 2, they will have opened up assignment 1, that basically when they come in then to session 3, you're able to start with the assignment straight away. And that assignment is about completing and submitting an assignment, and you complete it on Word, okay? So you complete that assignment on Word, And what the assignment is based on is on researching a local higher education institute. So it's basically find two higher education institutes, take a picture of them, insert them, and put in some information. That's all. You complete that in a Word, and then you return it on either Teams or your Google Classroom. So then when you have that done, you open up assignment 2. And again, that would be coming towards the latter end of session 3. You open up assignment 2, and what assignment 2 is on a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so you'll only just get to look at assignment 2 at the end of session 3, and then when you come into session 4, you do the same thing. You're able to crack into the assignment, and what the assignment is, it's about creating a minimum 4-slide presentation on a craft apprenticeship. And then what do? You do the PowerPoint, and then you complete and you submit it, and that's session 4. I know I'm moving very quickly through this, everyone, but all of this information will be coming your way at the end of this information session. Okay, so at this point, just to recap, session 1, participants come in, you're looking at VSware, and you're looking at the apps. So you introduce everyone to the apps, and then they will either join a team or join Google Classroom, depending on what apps you're using. Okay. Session 2, they come in and they will learn the effective use of sending an email. They will access an assignment, and that assignment is going to be about creating a Word document. Okay. So in order to do that, to create that assignment, so the file that they will be returning for the assignment, they're going to need to create a folder, and they're going to need to create that file originated in the OneDrive folder. Okay, then they come into session 3, they open up that assignment that they viewed in session 2, and you go straight into it then, and that assignment is going to be based on a Word document. Okay, so you create the assignment and you submit it. Then a second assignment will be posted on Teams or on Classroom. You view it, you might have time to get it started, and that assignment is going to be on creating a PowerPoint or a Google slideshow. And then you come into session 4 and you crack into the creating the PowerPoint and doing the PowerPoint, and you will complete and submit that assignment in that session 4. And then you come to session 5, and what this is about then, where it's a bit of a pivot here, and session 5 is about researching post-school options. And what we do then is we ask people to register with Careers Portal. They'll complete an interest assessment, and they'll undertake a course search activity. Okay, now a couple of things to point out on this. That is what the 5 weeks look like. We have, you will see here, this is a PowerPoint. Okay, so there is a PowerPoint. So all of the content that I've covered there, you will see that we've got a PowerPoint that covers session 1. There are also notes here at the bottom. So to go through all of those activities which I've pointed out, there are a slideshow that goes with it, and all of the speaker notes are underneath all of the speaker notes are underneath each slide. Okay, so there's no need, you won't be creating any resources. You might want to shift some of these around, but you can see if them broken up PowerPoints, what to do. It's got the resources, it's got the speaker notes, so everything is there. And then for those of you looking at this, we have one of these done as well for the Google Apps. Okay, when these are sent to you, you will see here that you again can take it and insert your school crest and logos and whatever you have in there. So PowerPoint to go with everything. There's a summary sheet as well. What we're also developing then is we have a program facilitator handbook, a program participant handbook. So when it comes to the participants, we'll have a handbook there for them. There is a flyer. So I'm just going to give you this for just promoting the project. There is a flyer here, which we will send to you for promoting, which Deirdre's going to talk about. Maybe I'm going to be too early in that. But this is one that Paul did up in Clara. And you can, oops, go back out of that. So we'll send you this flyer, and you'll be able to edit it to put in your own school crest and your own contact details that are going to be there. Okay, so and the dates and everything you're starting. So we'll give you this flyer. We also have, as you see back here, we have a participant handbook and a facilitator handbook that people will get. Right. I'm going to stop at this point now recording, Deirdre. And then Sean, hopefully can.
Yes, DQ.
Super.